Welcome to the Be Strong Show. I am your host, Michelle Shirley, CEO and Chief Heart Officer for Be Strong International. I am so glad that you have tuned in today. We have done so many amazing things since we last spoke. We had Give Miami Day and we met our goal, all because of you. So we are just excited about what 2024 will bring. I want to let you know that we are continuing to do incredible work in our communities, serving families, serving married couples, children, all about love, relationship development, and what we've trademarked as heart skills. And we'll let you know more about that in 2024 because we're coming in hot in 2024. Today, I have an amazing guest. I have the CEO of Radical Partners. If you don't know who they are, this is the show for you today to gain insight, to gain knowledge, to hear some brain power from the CEO herself, Joan Godoy. So welcome to the show, Joan.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so excited to finally be sitting here because I know there's a lot of predecessors that we have been here. So thank you for having me.
No, I'm really, first of all, let me just say thank you for the way in which you've even helped Be Strong expose our social yaks game to the community. At the underline, right? Yeah. It was pretty amazing. I found out later that Mayor Kava played our social yaks game. So we were just like,
with strangers on the street, which is even better.
Amazing. And you know, that's what it's about. It's all about connection and empathy and vulnerability and the things that we teach here at Be Strong. So thank you for giving us that space. And I know you are doing incredible things with other nonprofits and for-profits as well. So before we get started, because before the show, we were already like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about. And we only have 30 minutes to do it, right? So I want to ask you a little bit about the name Radical Partners. Why that name? And what do you all do so that our audience can know?
Yeah. So we oftentimes hear that there's power in language, right? And I think these are two very powerful words that they have a different meaning to different people. So radical, when you look it up on the dictionary, is something that's important, right? It's something that is going to be transformative and like a sustainable and relevant change. And then there are some people that have politicized that word. But to us, it means how do we work on what really matters and what needs to happen for that transformative change to happen? And then the word partners right next to it, the importance of never doing it alone, right? So how can we be the people that we do things together that are going to basically leave transforming or more sustainable change wherever we go.
Yeah, I really love it. It's so catchy, but yet I still feel like there are segments of our landscape and the sectors that don't know what you do. So talk about what you do, because I called you literally on vacation after a post that I saw you had, and I'm like, Joanne, what? Mind blowing. And I love being around you because the brain power that you have, you, Rebecca, some of the key leaders in our city, it's incredible to see the way you all think and what you're actually doing to drive impact and change. And so talk about what it is that you do and who you offer these services to.
Thank you, Michelle. So you're not the first one that says this, right? Because we understand and now love the fact that we are complex. Right. There are challenges in this world that are complex, and therefore, if we want to solve them, we need to have the ability, the flexibility, and the nimbleness to move in order to solve them. So the way we define Radical Partners is that we are a social impact accelerator. So we're all about social impact, yes, and we're all about accelerating it. How can we make things bolder, faster, and better to transform the communities that we're in? So the way we accelerate impact is through 4 pillars of work, and that's where people get confused, or they just know one of them, right? So knowing that we're recording this, I'll be super explicit and say that one of our pillars is that we invest in leaders like you that are running their own social impact ventures, whether that is a 501c3, whether that is just a community initiative or a for-profit or a typical LLC. For the benefit of the community, we want to invest in you. So we have leadership development programs there that we offer to the community. The second one, referring to the event that you were talking about with Social Yaks, is how we engage locals. And we develop, design, and promote campaigns to activate locals, whether that is go out, take the census, go out to vote without any political intentions more than just giving you the power of having your power back. And my favorite initiative is called the 10 Days of Connection. So once a year in May, we encourage everybody in Miami and beyond to connect with someone across a line of difference, whether that is a political difference, a religious difference, an age difference, an income difference. So that's our second pillar. The third one is that we co-create solutions. And in the common world, you would hear that as consulting. Right? We get paid to coach, to train, or to design programs and execute projects with people. And last but not least, because we work with leaders, locals, and solutions, we build coalitions around topics that matter so that we can activate these groups to do something about it, like Corporate Responsibility Miami. Tonight, we have a night to talk about failure. So the typical 3 panelists, right, instead of saying how amazing they are, they tell us about their worst mistakes. So those are some of the things that we do. And we do all of that so that we can together transform our communities.
I love that. I love the space for the vulnerability to share failures, because I think people see key leaders at the top and they're just like, oh man, I'm sure they got the resources and the access and the help, and they don't know the story, right? And we all have a story, right? Before I get into your story, right, a little bit, I want to have you go back to those who might be listening when you talked about the first pillar, which was this leadership engagement and development, right? What does that program look like, and how can people get involved?
Great question. So that is a pillar of our work, and we have several leadership development programs. The most common ones are Leadership Lab, which is a program for leaders of color by leaders of color. So every single person, even the participant, the coaches, the facilitators, either are very proud to be Black, Latino, or brown. So that's one program that's mostly for grassroots leaders. Then we have Social Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, which are for folks that are a little bit more advanced in their social impact mission, and they're ready to scale and to think about different revenue streams for them to continue to do that. But we have other opportunities that are free to the community. Right now, through the Miami Foundation and a support from Wells Fargo, we are offering free office hours with grant writers, lawyers, accountants that every single nonprofit in Miami-Dade can have access to.
I think you need to say that again. Free. The word free.
Yes.
I don't think people know about this.
Yes. So if you are in need or in want of more development, not only for you as a leader, but for your staff, you can go to www.radical.partners. And in the leadership development tab, you will find Miami Open for Business. So once you sign up, you will be getting a monthly email that tells you what are the virtual workshops that you can attend, and this menu and this plethora of coaches that are available to you at no cost.
That I'm thinking of people right now that I'm going to send to you in my organization. Awesome. That's so cool. I love that. So I do have this funny story that I was going to share, right? Because when I first heard about Radical Partners, I was really intrigued by it. And I always had this passion for how can I not only scale, but then look at who else I could partner with in the community. And there's a lot of stigma even around that with collaborations and partnerships and so forth. But I did sign up to be part of the program. And then I saw like I could get, the coaching help, the scaling ability, and also the like a headshot, professional headshot, things that I think beginning and emerging leaders don't always think about in the forefront of their mind. Not taking a picture in the bathroom, right, and just trying to be professional about it. And I applied, and I didn't get it. I didn't get in, but I think it taught me so much about just perseverance. I did find out later that I think I was not in the right section of intersection of where I think your programs were and where I needed to be. But I think just the support that I got in that initial interview experience, and having that exposure to hear what people were saying about what I needed to work on in itself was just a game changer for me. And I think from there, I really propelled to where we are today, and now being asked to be on boards and support other nonprofits. And so I'm just saying that to say kudos to you, even though you weren't there at the time, right? She made it clear. She's like, I wasn't there.
I had nothing to do with it.
Kudos to you for even allowing leaders to even have the opportunity to take that lunge and that kind of leap of faith to say, let me see if there is capacity for me and for me to build out what it is I really want to do as it relates to social impact. I think that's incredible.
Thank you, Michelle. And look, aside from the practicality of it, that we get to fundraise for these programs, and then we only have like a certain number of slots that we can open, right? Which is often between 10 and 12 folks. So that is limiting in itself. But despite that, there is something about being ready at that particular time for that particular program, right? So we learn over and over again, but for that particular program, the Leadership Lab, which is for leaders of color, we know historically how there's marginalization and how cultures don't necessarily open a lot of dignifying spaces and a lot of spaces for folks to show their full power, right? So we're very intentional about every single step of the way, including interviews, right? Like making sure who's the panel, how are they sitting, how are they engaging with you? Because it's not us approving your work, it's us asking the critical questions to make sure that this is the right fit for you right now. So we don't have the power to determine if you're good or not. It's just like, is this in the right moment that happens? And something as simple as you said, the headshots, right? We want to make sure that you leave that interview feeling better than how you entered because of the people that you met and because of that powerful headshot that proves how amazing you are, whether you make it to the program or not.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I don't have the headshot anymore because, of course, that was a few years back when I had braces, right? So now I have to change my headshot. But I just wanted to commend you on that. How are you working with for-profits? In a sense, because I want to make sure that the people who are watching, if they are small business attorneys and they want to do corporate responsibility, if they are running some sort of boutique business, right? How can they get support from you?
Yes. There are so many ways, but one of our leadership development programs, the Social Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, we don't really care how you're registered with the IRS, right? As long as you have a social impact mission. So if you are a for-profit company, an S Corp, an LLC, however you want to call it, then if you're doing something great for the world, like you can enter that program. Now, if you're running a larger venture and you are in need of like developing perhaps your CR strategies, or you want to invest in a particular population in your company, you can always pay for certain services with Radical Partners, whether that is advice that you want to get from us, coaching on particular things, trainings. We've done a lot of cultural trainings within the company, how to deliver your message. But I think knowing who's been here before and what you do as well, I do want to emphasize that the social impact really matters to us. So if you want to just grow your company for the sakes of it, we might not be that partner. And that what we do is more on the managerial skills and all the project planning and management to make sure that your vision comes to fruition. That's kind of our sweet spot.
That's really good. That's really good. So tell me, all right, we're going to switch gears a little bit because I want to know, and I think it's important for the audience to know, how did Joanne get here?
Yeah.
Right? What was that transition? And why your passion for this type of calling or cause?
How much time do I have?
I know.
No, I think I can summarize it real quick. And I always start by saying I was born in Guatemala. And that really shaped everything of me. It is a small, beautiful country in the middle of Central America. And it is a country that lives in the in-between. The in-between of having a tremendous amount of resources and having so much inequity and disparity. And I was lucky to be born in a home where my dad was an environmentalist and my mom is one of the best gatherers I've ever met. Since I was young, I wanted to be like my dad, right? I wanted to do something for my country, in my country. So all the decisions I made, how I volunteered when I was in high school, what I decided to study in the university, it was all determined to being part of an international organization and doing something for. my people and with my people. And of course, as you face adulthood and you start doing things, a lot of frustrations come along, right? I was working for a small organization in Guatemala where we were training rural leaders in human rights and other aspects of mental health. And when I was working with most of them who are indigenous, a lot of them didn't even know how to read or write. You realize that there's a system that's not going to really allow for them to do anything. To them.
Yeah.
So I decided to get a master's in my passionate young self, deciding that I wanted to learn how to run international NGOs, right, or international nonprofits. So I got a master's degree in the Netherlands. And after that, I haven't really stopped. I went from there to Costa Rica, to Chile, to Guatemala to work for the UN. And then because of love, I landed in Miami.
The UN. Incredible.
Yes. And then I landed in Miami in 2017 and I started hearing about social entrepreneurship. And I was like, what is that, right? In Guatemala, we didn't really hear much about that. And someone tells me about Radical Partners. And the minute I go to that website and I realize that I get to accelerate change, whether that is gender equity or housing affordability or environmental causes, I'm like, I have to work there. I applied. And here I am.
And here you
later.
are. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful story of just how everything was just meant to be, right? Yeah. I saw the glossiness in your eyes. Yeah. It's emotional for you, the journey.
Oh, always. When I talk about Guatemala, like I feel like I will always live in the dichotomy of wanting to go back and realizing that I can also help from afar. So I don't know. It's like a visceral reaction that I can't really explain.
It's coming up, and I see it on you. Wow. I'll be definitely praying that things align so that you can leave a legacy of being able to do both and doing both extremely well. And I'm sure your parents would be
and I think
proud.
Miami is such a great place for that, right? So it's funny how I never ever dreamed or wanted to live in the United States, and I find myself in this very strategic geographical location that allows me to have access to world-class work and dollars and budgets and be so close to home and so close to the Latin American region in Miami and physically as well. So I think I am where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, I definitely think you are. And as I sit with you and hear the full scale of what it is that you want to do, I'm thinking of ways like, we got to get you money. We got to get you money to support this, because I don't know if people realize that even in the sector and in the silos, if there's agencies like yours that are really helping to push and allow agencies to have that piece of real, true social impact and the entrepreneurship side of it, and really doing it well, and really looking at impact and looking at, measures within and the systems that need to be changed. I think you could immediately see a change in Miami within 5 years, right? But the dollars need to be there to be able to do that. So we'll be talking after this, because I'm trying to think like, oh my goodness, this is so incredible. Yeah.
I love it.
And it's so unselfish.
It is unselfish. It is selfish in the sense that we love it, right? We love supporting leaders like you, but it is unselfish. And if you ask me, very realistic, right? Like if we really want to transform the causes of the issues that we're trying to solve, we can't do it alone. No nonprofit can do it alone. And the reality is that most of us started doing the work because we are so passionate about it. And only a few of us have had the luck to know how to strategize around it, right? You're seeing people that are running companies because they've studied an MBA or because they learned from their parents. But running a nonprofit, first of all, there isn't a career that you can study, right? Because even the master's I got doesn't exist anymore. So there's something about being realistic. Like, yes, you are passionate. Oftentimes you are operating from a lived experience, but do you know how to run a team? Do you know how to budget for this? Do you know how many resources do you need? Do you know where you want to go? Oftentimes we do not know.
Yeah.
So Radical Partners aims to do that on the nerdy side, but on the other side, it is lonely, and you know that it is exhausting to run a team that is serving people and the trauma that's intertwined in the work that we do.
I know.
So sometimes the leaders just need us to hear them out for 30 minutes and give them a hug and tell them, "You're doing a great job. Thank you," and keep going.
I see you, right? Yeah, we're not going to cry today on this show.
Well, I'm crying already. So you're welcome to join me.
It's important. It's what you said is so important for leaders. It is a very lonely place. And a lot of people, including myself, become transformed through this work. The traumas are very real. The restrictions from donors are very real. The grants cycle and the game and the trying to pay people to even stay within the organization when you're competing against for-profit entities that offer $20,000, $30,000 more is real. And so helping leaders navigate through that, it's incredible. And I'm really hoping today that you get an influx of calls and support for what you were doing, because my poor husband and my pillow, right? For all the stories that I just share, because it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. So thank you. Oh my gosh.
And likewise.
Yes. So, all right, we're going to move into social yaks. We don't even have a lot of time because I wanted to just, there's just so much here. Oh my goodness.
But we got personal already, so we don't need to.
Yes. So social yaks is our newest card game that we have released, and we are on a mission of this sort of connectedness where it's sharing stories and it's finding common ground, right? And it's unselfishly thinking of ways that we could support one another, right? We're hoping for a world where this becomes automatic. And the game is one of the tools in which we think that this could happen, or at least the start of good conversations around empathy and vulnerability. And so it's on sale, and we do have holiday specials. I want you to start with our first level here, polar bear level, break the ice. So let's learn more about you.
Okay, this one's easy. It says, if you could learn a new skill, what would it be? I literally did some research this week because I want to get very good at graphic facilitation. I don't know if you've seen these folks that you're in a meeting and they're drawing with cartoons and synthesizing what's happening in the meeting. Wow. So that's something I really enjoy synthesizing and finding common ground in a meeting, but I do it in a very nerdy way. So I would love to have the ability to do it graphically with nice images that then you can keep the thing, and that will be your
reminder of
your notes, whatever. Yeah. So I hope I have the skills to draw too.
That's good. I know, right? We'll see. So cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue to break the ice just a little more.
So only me answer?
Yes. I'm just, and the audience is listening to who Joanne is.
Okay. It says, what are your hobbies and how did you get into them?
Ooh, I have a hobby?
Yes. I have to confess that it is hard for me to just do something because I want to do it. Oftentimes it has a purpose. But I would say physical activity, right? I enjoy running. So I've done 12 half marathons. I'm going for my 13th one, hopefully, in 2024.
Now, did your toenails fall out?
No.
I hear stories of that, and it's just scary.
Yeah, I think when you run a full marathon, things get a little bit more complex. But when you run half, I think it's the perfect challenge for you to be able to keep working and taking care of your kids if you have any and to train.
Okay.
When it's a marathon, your life has to change.
Okay. Wow.
So that, I love dancing, mostly salsa and bachata.
What? Do you teach too? Do you teach classes?
I could, the very basics, right? Because I don't dance professionally. I just dance from the soul.
Oh, that's so
but
cool.
I can get along and get away with it. And doing yoga. So I think moving my body, and especially if there's nature and mountains, I really love that.
Yeah, and especially the stress too of what you hear as a CEO. You're going through some similar challenges as well. So I think that's really great. Okay. Wow. All right. So we're going to move to our next level.
This is so unfair, Michelle.
Social. I know, but we don't have a lot of time when we want people to know.
Okay. I'll move faster. Okay. Name an interaction with a stranger you still recall. So it happened this morning, and some of the people here can yes, they can testify to it. But I love t-shirts. As I told you, I'm a very active person. I've always been a dancer, so I enjoy, or I feel like my best self when I'm wearing t-shirts. And I love positive messages as well. So it's become a thing since the pandemic that I wear my t-shirts, even in professional settings, like the one today that says Christmas lights and human rights. And it oftentimes builds conversations in the elevators. I have one that says hi, be bold, say hi. Aww. But then today someone asked me like, so what do you actually think about war? About the war? And my answer was, which one? So that took us to go into depth of like the amount of information that media is throwing at us about one war in particular right now, when we know that there are so many. So yeah, I thank my t-shirts for it, and I'm constantly talking to strangers so cool. Based on what it says.
That's so cool. That's pretty cool. All right. Okay. So now I know when I see your t-shirts not to think it's strange.
What gets you motivated at the start of each day? My calendar and my agenda. I'm like, when I see it, it's like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what I'm going to do. But in the calendar, I also have, like, now I'm doing a challenge with a teacher of mine at 6:30 in the morning. So I have to wake up, work out. Then I have time for my family, to love my people, depending on the day and the intentionality of the day. My calendar keeps me motivated.
That's good. Oh, that's good. We need that. Okay. CEOs. What do you do without the calendar?
Do I keep going?
Yes. Okay. Next one. We're digging deeper. No, not two at a time. One at a time.
What's the best advice you have ever received, and did you follow it? Yes. It was the best piece of advice that I got from Rebecca Fishman-Lipsey, who now runs the foundation, and she is the founder of Radical Partners. And she said something to the extent that she could see how smart I was and how many things I knew, but that I should try to ask more questions. Wow. And it just stuck with me, because you don't have to prove yourself, right? Like I was like an overachiever, always trying to make a statement, to make sure that I had something to add. And she's like, give people a chance to tell you if they're already thinking of that by asking a question. So every time I feel compelled to say something or to suggest something, I ask the question, like, have you thought of this? And oftentimes people say yes and, or no, but. So you learn in the process as well.
Yeah. And I see that's moving you too, because it was a moment of deep reflection for you.
Of course, because it's like, I think mostly as a woman and as a Latina, you kind of feel like you're always having to prove your value, right? So the idea of like, just chill and ask, best piece of advice.
Okay, wait, we're going to pause right here for a second. This is real. This is real. Yeah. I want you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
I want you to look in the camera.
Yeah.
And I want you to speak to that woman today who was you, and give them that message of clarity. If the cameras can switch to you, I want you to talk to them. Yeah. This is important.
Yeah, I think I want to address it in particular to Latinas in Miami, right? Because I see a trend that we've learned to work so hard because our parents told us that we had to study, that we had to do that, we had to clean, and most of us are doing that. But there's something tricky and not that healthy in that way of raising us, that it seems like it's never enough. So do all of that and recognize your value and monetize your value, because that ability to do all of those things at once and to work so hard and to be so loyal is what makes you a great damn asset.
Well said.
Was that dramatic enough?
It was great. It was great. I needed you to say that, because I felt like for you that was a real game changer in your life. And sometimes we don't have the opportunities. We receive it and we act on it and we move in our spaces now with this new knowledge, but we don't get the opportunity to share that with others. And sometimes it's just right here, and we need to be able to share it and encourage other women everywhere, because we see it. We see them. We see them on social media. We see them doing so much. And still with the insecurities, and still with it's never enough. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And recognizing, I always like to recognize how I look, right? I see that my skin is definitely very white. And with that, I've had access to certain privileges. So if you are Latina and you do not look like me, or if you're a Black woman in the United States, that is definitely applicable to you. So take whatever serves you.
I love it. I love it. All right. We got a minute left. And I want you to read that, but I'm going to answer it for you.
Okay. In my social circle, what do you think I'm most known for?
I think you're most known for I almost feel like it's a mix between being that person who's there to listen and ask really important reflective questions that will have your friends or people around you say, Joanne, you're just every time you bring me to that next level. You close the gap for me. You allowed me to see something that I hadn't seen before. I think that's a real blessing. And I think sometimes that's hard to find. We really have to search for those people who, like Rebecca did for you, push you into a direction where they can foresee this is what you need. I think you do the same. And I think it breathes into everything that you do. Yeah. So you're a special girl.
I like
lady.
Michelle. And yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap it up and to bring it back to you, right? And the Chief Heart Officer. We always say at Radical Partners that our language of love is pushing. So we love you no matter who you are and where you come from. There's something that you need to, or there's something that you can add value to, but there's also something that you need to work on.
Yeah, always. Always. We're always a work in progress, right? And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Tell people how to find you.
Okay. So I start with Radical Partners, right? In whatever social media network that you're in, you find us as such. So at Radical Partners on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube as well. And I think if you do that, you will see who works at Radical Partners, and you will find me as Joan Godoy on LinkedIn and Facebook. And then my Instagram is a little tricky, so kudos to you if you find it. And if you start following me through there.
Yeah. And we may have to bring you back because you've been posting some interesting stuff lately that I was like, I want to talk about this, and we didn't get to, but
happy to come back anytime.
Yes. Thank you for being on the show. This wraps up our segment of the Be Strong show today. I hope you got a chance to hear some amazing pointers and just a message of hope and love for your life so that your families and your personal life can be changed as well through the work that you do. Talk to you soon.